Awesome. Okay, so now we're officially
live. I'm told, Johnny.
We're officially live, and yes, refresh your refresh your Facebook. Refresh your Facebook, and you should be able to see it and share it to your group and pages of desire. Hello, everyone. Hello. We are currently sharing our live video to many pages so that we can get the word out there.
All right, I'm trying to do this here.
Awesome. How's it going?
Well, where am I going to see this? On my page?
Yes. So you'll see it on here, let's do this. If you go to Johnny Reuter,
okay,
you should be able to see it. And I'll try and tag you in this so that it comes up if it's not coming up.
All right, I see it.
Okay, good. Okay,
awesome.
I just saved it with you tagged now, so hopefully it'll populate over.
Okay.
There we go. And then if you share that.
Got it.
There we go.
All right, I think we're good.
Cool. Awesome. All right, well, welcome everyone. Hello, welcome to the Chiropractic Compass podcast presented by the legendary Chiropractor online community. Today we are with host myself, Johnny Reuter, and our lovely, lovely guest, Dr. Kim Carpenter. Welcome,
hello.
Dr. Kim.
All right, thanks for having me.
Absolutely, I'm honored.
Me too. I think you're doing awesome work. It's great to be with you. And I can't wait to dive in to help some students and chiropractors create the lives they want.
Absolutely. So today we're going to be talking about a wide range of topics, but the most important topic that I think that you wanted to cover was how to be successful day one in practice, and how students like myself and like many others behind us are in this transition period of it's crunch time. What do I need to do? How do I need to do it? And where are my next steps and my stepping stones? And I think Dr. Kim's going to help us lay down the groundwork for what that looks like, how we can be successful day one. And then we'll dive into her endeavors, like To Inspire Women, that program and initiative, as well as the adventures of the Live Well Warriors, which is a family-oriented health and wellness kind of paradigm that you're trying to make this huge shift with society in general, right?
Yeah, for sure.
Cool.
So yes, thanks for having me. I've been in practice 16 years, and I helped co-found To Inspire Women with Dr. Janice Hughes and Dr. Shaylin Osborne. And we are really dedicated to elevating the chiropractic profession, helping women in healthcare create practices that are successful. And so thank you for having me today. And yes, I definitely want to dive into how you can be successful day one in practice, right?
Absolutely.
And we work with a lot of students. My favorite group to work with is individuals who've been in practice 7 years or under. And I love helping students know what they want to create in practice. And you can be successful day one. Like, I'm literally working with a female right now from Life who is 3 months out. She started with me 3 months out of graduation and literally has patients right now already wanting to schedule with her. She doesn't even have her location.
That's awesome.
But she's done so much to build like a buzz around what she's creating that she will open and be successful day one.
That's fantastic.
It is possible. Yeah, it's so possible.
And I think there's a kind of this leery idea that it isn't possible to be successful day one. And it's scary. It gets scary as a student for me personally. And, even if you're not opening up your own practice, there are options out there for literally everybody in chiropractic. And like we're doing right now, people in chiropractic do Facebook Lives. That's what they do. They practice, they retired or did whatever, and now they're like, I want to just spread the word of chiropractic, bring on my resources, my colleagues, and my friends, and talk to them about what chiropractic means for me and my family and what it can mean for you, right? So I think the options are unlimited.
They are unlimited. And I think whether you want to start your own practice or you want to start as an associate or an independent contractor, whatever you want to do, there's no right or wrong. But all of those models, whether you're going and you're doing DC to U type programs, whatever you're going to do, you have to have systems to do it. And when you're in student mind, you're thinking clinical, 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 right? And that is great. You better know your clinical, but you absolutely have to understand the laws of business and the systems that are associated with practice. Even if let's say you're going to associate. I was an associate for a year before I ever opened my own practice. I worked with an awesome female named Lori Bralsma. And I will tell you that where I am today was a direct result of what she taught me and the coaching that I had as an associate. Had I opened my doors day one, I would have struggled because I thought I knew a ton. I knew everything. But I didn't know how to answer 15 different objections that walked through my door. And I definitely didn't know the systems behind like running a business, right? And there are some key factors that as a student that if you know those and you're prepared for those, your day one is very different. Obviously working with To Inspire Women, I do coach. We do have online programs to help people. We have complimentary open consulting. Like if you're not on open consulting as a student every month when I'm on there live complimentary, you could literally learn enough in that if you start 3 months, 6 months before you open to be able to have systems in place, right?
Absolutely.
It's basically, you have to think of it like your grad school. It's grad school from chiropractic school because you just don't learn the business aspect in school.
Yeah.
And business is not just like am I an LLC or not? Like you're talking, how do you handle when someone comes in with an objection of they don't want to pay, they don't want to stay, they don't want to refer, they don't believe you're helping them, they don't trust what you're saying. And that's the truth of what comes up in practice if you don't know how to communicate.
Yeah.
So communication skills are huge. You know, I'll say to you this though. The number one piece I hear from student after student after student comes down to money and the fear around money and the mindset around money. So what do you hear? Like, well, you're on the campuses. Right. Like, what do you hear about money and how people approach it and what they're thinking about debt versus wealth? What do you hear?
Yeah,
you're in that.
Exactly. Yeah. And I always love, it kind of always goes, especially when I bring a doc on, it always goes into debt and money because I feel like you guys see it as this fear that we have and we're, this bright-eyed, bushy-tailed interns coming out of chiropractic school, but we look like deer in headlights when it comes to finances and how to pay that back or start a business or an LLC like you were talking about. But what I hear, it's twofold, right? There's the person that doesn't care, right? They don't care about their money. They love finances, or they don't really know much about finances, but they love to spend money, right? And they spend and they spend and they spend because they're getting, the FAFSA, the unsubsidized government loan for tuition. They're also getting the Grad Plus loan. So they got money coming in, but they don't realize, like, in the end, you got to pay all that off. But they're like, why not live my life to the fullest now and get what I want to get while I have this money coming in and then just spend it? And then on the opposite side, you have the people that are absolutely terrified. So they're pulling out the bare minimum of what they need, which I think is smart, but there's got to be a happy medium, right? But the last person is like the person that pulls the bare minimum has no spending money for any social activities or anything like that, or even if their car breaks down, they don't really have money for that because they're so terrified of that debt. And there has to be this like mix and mingle of like this beautiful mixture of both, because you don't want to overspend something you don't actually have, but you also don't want to underspend and not advance and not grow as a human being and in your practice buying seminars or going to technique things because of the money thing, right? So what do you think is the number one piece that's determining these decisions for people? Well, I would say it's nurtured. It's how you were raised. It's really how you were raised. So it's your mindset, right? Exactly. Okay. So number one rule for you, if you want to build a practice and you want to create wealth within your life, is to work on the mindset you have around money. Because whether you believe that it's coming to you,
like from attraction levels that you're going to attract money, or whether you believe you're going to repel it, you're absolutely right. Whichever one you believe.
Yep.
But I'll tell you this, that right now, so many people that I watch doing like webinars or podcasts, or when I'm on the phone with a student, all they're talking about is get rid of debt, get rid of debt, get rid of debt. And there's some truth in that. But if you can shift your mindset to, I'm going to create wealth, create wealth, create wealth, you tend to reach a very different level of earning and wealth and freedom in your mindset than those who focus solely on debt or debt reduction.
Yeah.
A lot of people coming out, when they look at their debt reduction, they're looking at 20 plus years of paying back some loan. Well, if you only focus on debt in that 20 plus years, you've missed your opportunity to create wealth. So there is a balance in that. And I love digging deep with individuals to create different, unique ways of creating wealth. But the first piece of that is knowing where you want to be.
Yeah.
Right. So most people, your first scenario, you're talking about, I'm going to live for right now. I'm going to live for right now.
Yep.
There may not be tomorrow. Okay. I get it. And then you've got the other side is I'm just going to hold tight, hold tight, hold tight. Both of those are mindset, but knowing really what you want your life to look like in a year, in 3, in 5, in 20. When do you want financial freedom?
Yeah.
If you know those things and you can crystal clear see those things, develop the mindset around it, you absolutely can create it. But it does take discipline, and it does take a certainty that most people can't answer. Even this, if you go into what you want your vision to be for your practice, right? I've listened to some coaches say, well, how would you know? You're a student. Just go after everything. Okay, you could go after everything, but you could spend the last year of your time in school shadowing every type of practice you can imagine, and see what resonates with you, so that when you do open day one, now you may not turn certain types of people or certain types of patients away, right? Let's say you get a PI case. Maybe you'll take it, maybe you won't. But I can tell you the most successful practices I've seen, they knew their top 3 to 5 types of people that they could help better than anybody else day one when they opened their practice.
Right.
That laser focus creates wealth. That laser focus creates success in who you attract into your practice. And that the mindset is so critical. And so many people want to skip over it and jump to, well, how do I do a new patient report of findings? Well, okay, what's your mindset in your practice? What do you want that individual to know or to learn? What objections do you think that individual will have when they're sitting down with you? And do you know how to answer them? Do you know how to meet them where they are and lead them where that you want them to go? So those aspects of practice can make or break you day one. Right? Your mindset with money, knowing your brand, and knowing how to communicate. Those are critical to know before you ever graduate. And it is possible to know those things.
Yeah. It is possible, and there are resources out there. You're the second person out of 3 interviews that I've done that said your last 6 to 3 months before graduation, be in as many offices as you possibly can be. Know what you want, know what you like, know what you don't like, and figure that out. Start asking the questions that matter most to you before going out into the real world, right? I mean, that's kind of what we're saying. And then, Dr. Kim, you said you want to create wealth while paying down debt. Is it wealth in what aspects of life other than money, right? Because it takes all aspects, many different aspects of life to create such wealth, even if you're just talking about the matter of paper money, right?
Yes. I think you are brilliant. Like, for you even asking that question, that is awesome, right? So if you really, so much of that goes into what are your values? What do you really want your life to look like, right? And there are people who will say, well, again, they're making all these decisions, but they don't know where they're making them from. So what are the things that matter most to you in this world? And do you even know? And maybe you don't know yet, but maybe it'll change in 5 to 10 years. Yeah. But I can tell you that when you can make all decisions from your values, then you create wealth in your physical life, in your social life, in your practice life, in your family life, because they all blend, right? So here's a challenge for you. Can you come up with, between now and the next time that people join me on our open consulting call, which is tomorrow night, can you get on there and can you tell me what are your top 3 values? Like really, what do all decisions that you make, where do they come from?
Yeah.
Because I can tell you mine,
Right.
health, family, freedom, those 3 things, every decision ever is made from that. And when you do that, that laser focus comes in and you create everything you want in your life as this solid system, not like things bumping up against it. I feel stuck in practice. I feel stuck in wealth. It all becomes synergistic.
Absolutely.
But it's knowing who you are and what you believe and what you want to create in order to do that, right?
Right.
You said something like everybody should be visiting offices. They should. Mm-hmm. The other piece is you should take care. You could take advantage of all the resources that different platforms have. And there's a lot of us who really work together as a collective. Tomorrow night, To Inspire Women /strategy, open consulting call, completely complimentary. The last one that I did, there was a student on there and we talked about objections. We went through 15 different objections and how would you answer this question if it came through your doors?
Yeah.
You're going to have those objections. One of my favorite pieces, and I think it may have been Larry Markson, I can't remember for sure, but years ago I was at a seminar and they were talking about, they said they were a chiropractor, right? And they were like, I'm so glad I didn't say I was a proctologist, because everybody with a chiropractor is like, oh, this, or oh, my back. Or they love to go, oh, I know how you guys work, right? How do you handle that when you're out? I mean, for me, those are great openings to be able to let's talk about this. But for some people that know, or I'm scared of you all, or you all do this, it freaks people out and they don't know how to respond or handle that, right?
Yeah.
Those little things make a huge difference when you go to open your doors day one. Can you communicate what we do?
Yep. Absolutely. Yeah. And so with, people having success now day one with that mindset, with creating wealth while paying down debt instead of fearing debt and having this lingering number over their heads, you mentioned your strategy call. I want you to talk a little bit more on To Inspire Women, where that came from, and then please tell us how to get more in tune and in action with you guys as female chiropractors or chiropractors to be, or just your open general strategy calls, who those welcome and everything like that.
Yeah, so To Inspire Women was co-founded with myself, Janice Hughes, and if you don't know Janice Hughes, she's been in the profession for decades, and definitely one of the leading first female coaches. She was the female on every stage when I got out of school, a while ago. But so she teamed up with Dr. Shaylin and I, who we've known her for over a decade, and we started To Inspire Women. And it is truly to elevate the level and the power of women within chiropractic, but within healthcare. And can men join our strategy calls? Absolutely. Can men download our resources? Please do, because they will help across the board.
Yeah.
I will tell you that our passion and our purpose is we are built by women, and we are really for women when it comes to a lot of our events and our coaching. And it's not to exclude men, but what we have found in healthcare is that women practice differently and women have different challenges. And now it is different, but I will tell you that for the majority of my career, there weren't a lot of powerhouse women. So there weren't these resources to bounce ideas off of, and how do you handle when you're having a kid and you're running a practice, and what do you do? And it's just different questions. And you're young, but I'll tell you that when I got in practice, women really didn't have these role models of high volume, cash practice, wellness practice. We just didn't. We were all put into a corner of they're going to do pediatrics or they're going to leave. Nothing wrong with that. But we didn't have those role models. So we created To Inspire Women to give women an invitation to join a collective group where you can see all types of practices, high volume, small volume, 2 days, 5 days, associate driven, not all these pieces that are for women by women. The strategy calls, they're absolutely complimentary. And yes, they are a strategy call where you can jump on. I generally have a topic, but usually we get off topic because people ask questions and we make it about you, address where you are, and help you take your practice to the next level and where you want to be.
Awesome.
And so those are hosted once a month. I'll tell you that tomorrow's, it is, so tomorrow I have one and it's at 7.
Okay.
But I'll tell you that in March, I'm actually doing one March 26th, which is just for students at 6 o'clock.
Awesome.
And then we're going to dive in and do a second one at 7. And that's open to students. If you want to jump back on for another hour, you can. But there's 2 different ones, because I'll be at Logan in March. I'll be at Life in April. And so we're really working to try to give you an avenue to connect with where you are and other like-minded students so you can brainstorm.
Absolutely.
And so that can occur in those calls.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. And that's really cool, because you and I actually, you had reached out to me, and we kind of realized we're doing kind of the same thing, right? With To Inspire Women and the Legendary Chiropractor. But yours is focused on the doc and more on the doc. And then the student is also available. But now you've created this toinspirewomen.com/DC2B for all students to join, men or women.
Men or women,
men or women,
and let's help you build phenomenal practices, however you want. If you want to associate, let's make you the best associate, so that when you read that contract, like I'm looking to hire an associate right now. And I'll tell you that the contract is part of it is unique for students, because yes, we'll build in student loan payments for you, right? Like we'll do some of these pieces. But let's make sure that if you're going to jump on a strategy call, that if you want to be an associate, be the best one you can be, because it'll be a win for you and it'll be a win for who you work with. You'll get far more out of it. If you want to open your own practice, let's make sure you don't spend 1 to 5 years floundering trying to figure it out. And if you want an independent contract, awesome. Keep it lean and mean, and let's figure out how to do that for you. Mm-hmm. But this will give you an avenue, whether you jump on with your mentor page, I love it. Or if someone wants to jump on strategy calls this way, they're all great resources. Just use them.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Yeah. Please reach out to Dr. Kim with anything that you guys have. They offer strategy calls. They offer things for students. I just actually threw up a link toinspire.com/50 tips. And so do you want to speak a little bit what that means, and if they download it, what they'll get from it?
If you want to download the 50 tips, toinspirewomen.com/50 tips. It's 50 tips that you can use to attract people into your office, right? Some of them are really unique in ways you may not have thought about. They do dive into mindset, and some of them are more like A to B to C, and this is how you do it. But find which ones work for you. Start testing them out as a student and see which ones resonate with you, or what kind of questions people ask when you mention these type of things, and start to build that language around it. And then if you want to reach out to me through email, it's Dr. Kim at To Inspire Women. And I would love to absolutely just connect with you. I mean, Johnny, I love what you're creating. I think it's so forward thinking, and I think it has such a huge place in helping docs and students connect. So I really honor you for that.
I appreciate that. Thank you. Yeah. Let's get back to now our topics. So guys, I put up links while we were talking Facebook Live. I put up links and descriptions of what we were talking about at the time. That's why I'm on my computer still. So I just want to be sure that everyone is able to get as much content from these videos as possible, especially when Dr. Kim and other guests are willing to give as much as they possibly can for chiropractic students and docs to be successful. So let's move on to the Live Well Warriors program.
Yeah.
What that means, what is it, and how can people access it?
So livewellwarriors.com is a children's book series that I wrote, and it is designed to empower families to eat and move and think well. And we also work on sustainability within the environment. And it's centered around the nervous system in chiropractic. So when my kids were born, I had trouble finding books that were teaching what I was trying to teach within my office. And so we just wrote them. We dove in and we wrote them. And it goes into self-esteem. It goes into the nervous system. There's kids getting adjusted. It talks about that this kid got adjusted when they had an ear infection when they were younger. I use them in my practice to educate my practice members. I give them out to every family that starts. I donate them to schools. I have an entire day built around how you can attract more kids into your office. If you want that link, it's toinspirewomen.com/LWW for Live Well Warrior. But yeah, it's just a great tool to help you educate and to help those of you who have kids to raise these kids in the mindset that you already have through the chiropractic lifestyle. So yes, they go on many adventures, and they're literally saving the world through the chiropractic lifestyle.
That's awesome. I think it's such a great idea. And I spoke with someone a while ago on Facebook Live who also wrote a children's book. Yours seems to be a children's series, which I think is amazing. And I think your next book is coming out soon, if I recall.
It will be out in just a couple months.
Awesome.
Yes, I'm pumped. And it's all on mindset. Mindset for kids, exactly what we talked about. We're going to start them off right.
Yes, that's good, because we wouldn't be having this conversation if they got that then.
There you go. All the things we didn't get when we were like 5, mine are going to get.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Yeah. And so with children's books, and I think you did a really nice job of speaking to the importance on children's books, but I want to add to that, right?
Yeah.
I want to say that children's books is where everything starts. To say that to have a child, your child, anyone's child, say that their favorite book when they were a kid was a chiropractic kids book, that's powerful stuff. I think that's really, really powerful. No matter if they go on to be a chiropractor or not, that lifestyle, that mindset, that way of life that we all preach and live and walk and talk every single day is huge. And we've been trying, we look at each other I was just at Cal Gym, as we talked about before, Dr. Kim, and we look at each other and we're like, what are we doing for the future of not only this profession, but for people? And how do we get our message out louder and to more people? And I think it starts with the kids. So I'm really pumped for what you're doing.
One of the reasons I wrote those is because I was so sick of educating adults, right? And I'm like, oh my God, these kids are coming into my office with their parents, and they can explain what I'm doing, right? But the adult has no idea really why they're there. And I literally was like, forget it. I'm going to write these books. And when these parents read these to these kids at night before bed, guess what that parent is taking in? Everything I want them to know about the way that they live.
Absolutely.
When my parents were younger and I was little, seatbelts weren't the thing, right? I mean, believe it or not, they weren't worn. I remember getting in the car and telling my mom, I'd feel a lot more comfortable if you'd wear your seatbelt. Well, my goal with this is that these kids, and we can put them out into the world through our offices, and these kids can go and be like, oh, I have an ear infection. I think I need to see one of those chiropractors. Or, they can educate their parents. And I really think if we just dip into this next generation, they're the future of what we want the world to look like. So let's give them the platform to do that.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Where can people go and buy your book?
Thank you. You can get the books at www.livewellwarriors.com.
Okay.
You can buy them there. You can buy them on Amazon. It's usually better deals and pricing, if you do it from our website.
Okay.
But yeah, they're out there. A lot of chiropractors carry them in their offices, and I appreciate those that do, and I just want to get the mission out there and deeper to really change this next generation.
Yeah, absolutely. So on your site, are people allowed to buy single copies, or can they buy bulk for offices?
If you want to put them in your office, you can buy bulk.
Okay.
So purchase 50 or more is bulk, and then you can also buy individual ones. Like we put them in schools, we put them everywhere because when that kids go to the library at school, if they're checking that out to go home, that's a good thing.
That's a step in the right direction, as we like to say.
Yes.
That's fantastic. So we got the paying down debt, creating wealth. We have To Inspire Women, what that is, where to go to find it, how to get free coaching through your platform, which I think is what you're doing is absolutely incredible. And also the Live Well Warriors, which is creating a family lifestyle mindset in the home, starting with the kids. And I think, and like you said, subconsciously, mom and dad reading it to them at night, those are all the things. They're like, oh man, Dr. Kim was right. It's like, oh crap. I better start drinking more water. Yeah. So next I want you to speak on what it means to transition from a student to a doctor, and how we can more successfully do that. We talked about money, we talked about mindset, but like the transition, the putting on the professional shoes, the boots, in the morning, and serving your community is a totally different level of student aspects all across the board. So if you want to speak on that a little bit.
The number one rule, I believe, is that it's not about you. that nothing you do from the day you get up, you go to your practice, it's not about you. And so often we want to get stuck into what we want someone to learn, what we want this to look like, what we want this person to do. It's not about you. It isn't about what you want, right? And it's not about whether you're comfortable, because so many people, when they first get into their practice, like, I don't know if I can say that to somebody. I don't know if I can, like, what if they leave? What if I tell them the truth and they leave? It's not about you, right? It's not about you. It is about telling the message that this individual came to you. It's about meeting them where they are, telling the message of how they can live their life differently, how they can reclaim their life, and then giving them the options to do that. Every day when you get up and you go to your practice or to an event or to speak or whatever it is you're doing, it's not about you. It is about the world you want to create and how you meet somebody where they are in order to help them get to where they want to be. And when you can get out of your own way, you can create whatever you want in your practice and in your life. But the longer you stay stuck in this me, and I don't feel comfortable and this isn't fun or this is hard, it's not about you. Mm-hmm. And that makes the difference in those individuals who build huge successful practices and change thousands and thousands of lives in those who play it small. The ones who are the most successful, they recognize that every moment is an opportunity to help someone reclaim their life. And if you can get that real about it, that builds a successful practice. Mm-hmm. That's the difference.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And you have built a successful practice in Louisville, Kentucky. You've been there since 2004.
I grew up there, moved away, practiced out of state, moved, and as an associate, changed my life, and then moved back in 2004 and opened my office. Yeah.
Awesome. So you keep saying, now I'm going to jump on that, because you keep saying your associateship changed your life. You spoke on it a little bit, but let's talk about independent contracting, associating, yep, as well as opening your own practice. And I think all of those day ones look a little different, but when it comes to mindset and everything, they're the same across the board, of where you have to have goals, you have to have a mission, you have to have a vision, and you have to have stepping stones to get to where you want to be. But talk to us about those different options and what those mean for students and how they can best go experience that while they're in school so they know what they want.
So all the options are awesome, right? There's tons of different options. You can even get creative and do, DC to you type care, whatever you want to do. It's as long as it's authentic to really where you are in life and where your mindset is, you can make that successful. I will tell you this though. A lot of people open their doors and they really aren't ready and they don't know what they don't know. Now, there are some who do the work, right? They spend their last year in school and they are finding out all these things they don't know. And they're doing that. And when they open, they do know. Either they've hired a coach or they've used resources. I will tell you that I find if you can find a great mentor to be an associate for, I do believe that's like a time collapse of all the things that you don't know, that you then have the potential, especially if you're looking at practices you could either buy into or that you could take over, or that you're earning as much as what you could make on your own, but you now have, you get to be an entrepreneur, not this like solopreneur in practice where you're wearing 50,000 hats, right?
Yep.
Very different when it's your own. So there are benefits to being an associate. There are in the right practice. There are benefits to doing it on your own. If you're going to do it on your own, though, you really got to dive in and find out what you don't know. And that takes getting really vulnerable and asking the questions. As an independent contractor, it can be a nice blend of both if you find the right office. I've had independent contractors in my office, and they got really the benefit of a mentor and a coach and the systems, and they actually used our staff in some ways. And we set it up to where they're independent, but they had access to them. And so that's a huge win. There are wins with all of them. And in all of them, you're going to find out this whole nother tier of things you had no idea even existed. And so it's being curious, allowing yourself to be vulnerable, and getting in there and doing the work to create what it is that you want.
Absolutely. Absolutely. So when it comes to doing that, right, and we set all this stuff up, how do you feel about I'm going to break each one down. Associating or independent contracting. I've heard independent contracting, just to kind of bring my student side of things into this a little bit. Independent contracting is tough because you're trying to build two different brands essentially under the same roof. Do you think it's a good idea, bad idea? And obviously there are perks to both, but what are your thoughts on that idea?
I think it's, there's lots of ways for it to work. I know practices where, let's say it's a doc that's been in practice for a long time. They practice 2 or 3 days a week, and the other doc is actually using the space all those other days.
Okay.
Right. So the practices don't necessarily overlap at all. But I will say that we are one of the only professions within, whether you put it in medical, dental, health, podiatry, whatever, we're one of the only professions that loves to just do this ourselves. And part of me thinks we're kind of crazy in some aspects, because I know in my practice right now, we have a wait list practice at times, and I've literally sent some practice members who are new to the doctor that I'm friends with 2 blocks down. There was a point I'm sending him 10 or 15 people a month because we were so at over capacity. I approached him and I'm like, why are we not in the same building, right? Like, why do we all decide to go own our own little pocket?
Yeah.
I really believe if we want to change our reach within our profession, it needs to be considered more of blending. And can we just create bigger practices, all that have access on more than 2 or 3 days a week, right? Can we really take that to another level? Mm-hmm. I do believe those models will work as an independent contractor if you can find the right people and your mindset's the same. In our profession, we love to get in our corners and be like, I'm right, you're wrong. I'm right, you're wrong. The day we decide to blend some of those things and recognize the gifts and the ways that different people practice, that's when an independent contractor relationship can be really powerful.
Absolutely.
It can have its challenges. I do think it's good to really know the person that you're working with. So interview each other really well, talk about that mindset, talk about that blend. But I do see that as a potential to be really successful for people.
Yeah. It sounds like if the right pieces line up and you put the work in for those pieces to line up, it can be really cool. And because I've heard I shouldn't say this, but I will. The like out of the associate opening up and independent contracting, the one people don't always go to first is the independent contracting. And so I'm trying to fish out as much as I can from different docs and just seeing like, hey, how do you be a successful independent contractor working under someone's roof, working with someone else's staff possibly, and using their equipment, stuff like that? Because I feel like you said we get in our own corners, and chiropractors don't have egos, do they? No.
We're all right.
Yeah, exactly. But we want to do our own thing. But it's really cool with how, you can have a person 2 blocks down the road from you and still practice and have a successful wait list practice. And that brings me to my next question. When it comes to, I've heard this term more recently than in the past, and I'm pretty connected. I'll shamelessly plug. I'm pretty connected on Facebook with like chiropractors and other, entrepreneurs and things like that. But this wait list practice idea has really ramped up in the last kind of, I don't know, for me personally, last couple months. I've been seeing it all over the place. Is this a new marketing thing? Is like how to create a waitlist practice, all this stuff?
It's a cool buzzword for a lot of people. I mean, I can speak from the practices that I help coach, and I can speak from the practice that I run. We have a wait list. And it is honestly, but it is, there's different issues for us. Some of it's capacity. It's why I want to hire an associate. Okay. I really don't need an associate to go find 1,000 people to come into my office. But our office is built on all wellness and all lifestyle. So people start and they don't leave. Well, we don't have any space. So I need more hands, right? That's truly created a wait list practice for us. Yeah. And that's because our systems in all levels, from the way we've built to attract new people, we're 100% referral. I haven't done marketing in years. If I did, we'd have like too big, even bigger wait list, right? So it is how you scale practices like that, right? I clearly am working to try to scale and attract the right people into that office. Is wait list a buzz? Yes, I think in some marketing piece it is. And what is a wait list? Is it 2 months? Is it 3 months? Is it 2 weeks? What's the wait list, right? People like that word right now. There are truly practices, though, that are at capacity and busting at the seams who are looking for awesome associates. I'm not the only one. There's an awesome doc, Dr. Larry R. Beitman in New Jersey's looking for an associate. And I can tell you that he's the same way, right? And it's because he's doing things right and he just needs more hands to help serve people. That individual is going to learn a tremendous amount from that man. So yes, there are true waitlist practices, and then there are practices that see 80 to 90 new patients in a month, and I coach some of them and I see their stats and I see that turnover, in 2 to 4 visits. Well, that's okay if that's what you want.
Right.
But is that what you want? Do you want to see somebody 4 times? If that's your practice style, cool. But do you have a waitlist practice that's serving the way you want it to look? Or do you have a waitlist practice because you ran a Facebook ad that attracted 80 new people that weren't your ideal, and now you're working 1,000 times harder, and now you're just going to keep that flow going?
Yeah.
Right? So it's what's your mission with that waitlist practice? Again, it's your why, it's your vision, it's your values. That's what drives your decisions to grow a practice. Not, I attracted 80 people. Well, that's great, but what happened to those 80 people? Yeah. Right? Yeah. So there's so many things you've got to look below the layers on to know really what something means, right?
Absolutely. Yeah. And that's why I asked, because that was a great answer. I was like, I'm seeing this all around, Yeah. Come with our coaching group. We'll get you on your way to a waitlist practice. And it's like, to me, how you create a waitlist practice is exactly how you described it. Do what you do on a constant and efficient level, and then people will keep coming in. And if you educate properly, you communicate the chiropractic message properly, people won't leave. And they won't. I think that's the ideal waitlist practice, not starting from like, I'm going to build a waitlist practice. It's like, because then you're just pulling in non-ideal patients.
I never opened my doors and said, my goal is a waitlist practice.
Yes.
My goal was to give and to love and to serve and tell you the truth and meet you where you are, not scare you, and to empower you to create the life you want to create, right? That's my mission. Yours might be a personal injury practice that you want to just like help these people heal from injury. Awesome. Be the best at it. Whatever that is, be the best at it. And make it about the person you're caring for, and your practice will explode. Yeah. We make it way too hard.
Yeah. Be authentic and do what you do ethically and morally acceptable, and you'll be fine, I think.
Yes. Yeah. And then be able to handle some objections and have the systems to handle the flow. You've got it.
I love it. I love it. And that's why great people like you are around to give us free coaching and mentoring. And that's awesome. And if anyone didn't know, Dr. Kim is and has volunteered her time to be on the Legendary Chiropractor Mentor Up page. So go on the Mentor Up page, thelegendarychiropractor.com/mentor up, and find her bio, read her bio, click on her Calendly link or her link that directs you back to her site and can schedule you there. So that's awesome. Thank you for joining the Mentor Ups team. I'm so excited you're with us.
Absolutely. And let's do this again. And when I'm in Atlanta in April, let's definitely meet, because I think you're phenomenal and you're doing a great job.
I appreciate that. So with closing, I want to close here. We talked about a lot, and we've covered a lot. And you have given tremendous wisdom and insight into the chiropractic profession and what you do for chiropractic women all around the world, either student or doc. So with that being said, what are some action steps people can take? Give me like 2 or 3 action steps people can take right now that will benefit them the most in the long run watching this Facebook Live.
I want you to sign up for the strategy call. Number 1, join me tomorrow at toinspirewomen.com/strategy. That is probably one of the most important steps that you could take right now, is to do that. The other piece is work on your mindset. Start really paying attention to, what do you really believe about money? Do you consistently have things coming around in your head that, oh, that's too expensive, I can't do that, that won't work? What are the words that you keep saying? Or do you believe that I'm a money magnet? With money, I create more good in the world? What are the things you're saying to yourself? So I would say sign up for a strategy call and then pay attention to what your self-talk is, because your self-talk is a direct reflection of what you're going to create next. And for students, we need you to be as powerful as possible so that you can create and change and keep this profession going where it's needed. Those two things, even though the self-talk people want to skip over, I promise you it will be the difference between whether you have the confidence, the certainty to create what you want and change this world, or whether you stay stuck. Absolutely. It is the foundation for what's next.
Absolutely. Thank you for doing that. And I heard that you are hiring an associate. So speak briefly on that, and then I'll do my closing and we'll be good to go.
Yes. If anybody is looking for a position, I have a phenomenal practice in Louisville, Kentucky, and we are looking to hire an excellent doctor to join us. And if you're interested in that, you can email us at atwlouisville@gmail.com and, or Dr. Kim at To Inspire Women. That'll get to me too. But yes, we're hiring, and I'm just looking for the next phenomenal person who wants to learn the skills needed to run a fabulous practice and who wants to give, love, serve, and really care for a community.
Absolutely. Awesome, Dr. Kim. Well, thank you so much for being on today. I want to do a couple shameless plugs, and that is to go check out the legendarychiropractor.com/mentor up for all of your mentoring and coaching ideas and things. Also go to toinspirewomen.com and check that out. They have free coaching and mentoring and strategy calls and webinars that they do as well. So thank you, Dr. Kim, for being here. Yeah. Thank you for allowing me to interview you and for giving your gracious time and wisdom to the future of the chiropractic profession.
Absolutely. Yes. I appreciate all of you.
Yes.
The future's bright.
Absolutely. Thank you, Dr. Kim.
Have a good night.
Bye now.
Bye.